So Five Nights at Freddy's just came out with their newest game of the series, Secret of the Mimic. And I gotta be honest, this is their best work in years. From the storytelling to the gameplay, Steelbook really nailed it. I think this is the most lore we've gotten from a Fnaf game since like Fnaf 3. This video is just going to be a quick summary of the general story of Secret of the Mimic, breaking down the timeline of the Murray family, and summarizing each ending and telling you which one I believe is canon to the games. So let's light that flame and get going. You start off driving in a van as someone named Arnold, a Fazbear employee who's being sent to Murray's costume manor to retrieve some of Edwin's projects. Fazbear claims that this technology was being developed for them. They describe it as a prototype endoskeleton with homicidal glitches that can fit into any costume or animatronic. As you enter the building, you're given a data diver which looks oddly similar to a Fazwrench from Ruin. They then tell you to upgrade your data diver until you can reach executive permissions to access Edwin Murray's office and retrieve the Mimic blueprints. As you roam the abandoned factory, you encounter the Mimic in various different mascot costumes. Even the Mimic getting into Music Man at some point. What? Which is honestly a little crazy, not gonna lie, but anyways, by progressing further and upgrading your data diver permissions, you make it into Edwin's office, which is where you find these Mimic blueprints. Along the way, you find these audio recordings and mail logs which give massive lore drops and hints about what happened to Edwin. Through these audio recordings, we meet someone named Fiona, Edwin's wife and David's mother. We get a good sense of what happened to this family through these audio recordings. Now, I'll try to explain the Murray family as best as I can, but this video is going to be heavily opinionated. I'm going to provide evidence for whatever I can find, but I just wanted to let you know. The Murray family is a tragic story about one man, Edwin Murray, that neglected his wife and child. After Edwin had taken over his father's business, he became obsessed with new products that could jumpstart the company. So obsessed, however, that he wasn't really there for David.
Ed, get out here. You're missing it.
Just give me a minute. I had the best idea.
Okay,
This is
well,
This is the one. Bigger than the Cleanovac.
that's great, honey, but you're missing the party.
David's 2 years old. He won't remember a thing.
In one of the audio logs, Fiona says she's gonna go help the Fall Fest crew set up a piece of equipment, possibly the carousel, but that's unconfirmed. She leaves her friend Trish to babysit David. In another audio log found later, Edwin is mourning over someone saying, "You weren't supposed to go." It is implied that Fiona dies at the Fall Fest fire.
Why did you go? You weren't even supposed to be there. You were supposed to be here, me and David. Oh, how am I supposed to tell David that his mother is gone? How am I supposed to raise a kid on my own? His life is ruined. My life is ruined.
Then David's third birthday arrives and he remarks that he misses his mom. Soon after, Edwin creates M1, an endoskeleton used to babysit David so Edwin can continue his work because he's a bad dad.
I want to introduce you to someone. This is M1.
Why does it look like that?
Look like what?
It's scary.
Oh, it's an endoskeleton. It won't always look like this. It'll wear fun costumes. Think of it as your new babysitter. But it doesn't get paid and go home. It'll stay with us and help around the house.
However, it begins to take on traits of Fiona. By the way, from now on, I will be calling M1 Fiona, just so y'all don't get confused. Sometime before his 4th birthday in early December, Edwin gave David his own playground outside the factory. On the morning the party is set to take place, Edwin sends Fiona to collect David from the playground, but David tragically dies. In the books, he dies when hit by a white van, but in the games, we don't have confirmation of what killed him. It's safe to assume that the same sort of event took place, but we can't say for certain yet. Fiona then later tries convincing Edwin to create M2 as a way to replicate David so they can be a family again.
Edwin, you can't put it off any longer. You need to try again. Build another.
Edwin attempts to replicate his son in the same way he did with Fiona, but cannot go on because he realizes what he has become. He couldn't accept M1 as his wife, or M2 as his son. He attacks M2 in a fit of rage and grief, realizing that he had gone too far.
You're not him. You're not! Stop sounding like him!
This causes M2 to become violent and dangerous. Fiona instead convinces Edwin to create the Cradle, also known as the Mixus or Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage. However, at some point Fiona ends up trapped within the Cradle rather than M2. I'm not sure how, but anyways, It's possible that Edwin had had enough of trying to replicate his family and had given up on the thought of getting them back, but that's just speculation. With Fiona as Mixes, she begs Edwin to fix M2. Fiona says Edwin can do it again so they can be a family, but he refuses.
For the last time, no, it wouldn't be him. Oh, who am I kidding? You're not really you. It's so stupid.
Edwin, calm down and give it some thought. Try again. Make another, and we can all be together.
All this time wasted? I should have been having fun with him, playing games and teaching him how to make things.
Later on, M2 causes an explosion inside Edwin's office and even begins to mimic him, mostly mocking his neglect of David. Edwin possibly dies here, though we don't have any official confirmation on that. But with Edwin gone, Fazbear Entertainment sends a team to retrieve the Mimic and its blueprints. Now we're at the start of Secret of the Mimic. So, there's a lot to discuss here. First off, why does every dad suck in this series? Like, every male figure is either dead or an asshole. Secondly, is Edwin even alive? Well, I'm not sure. That'll have to be for another video. But for now, let's discuss each ending and which one is canon. So you get the first ending, which is the bad ending, by just playing through the game normally, and at the end you give your data diver when dispatch asks for it. You get in your van, and when you connect back with dispatch, they then say that they've been trying to reach you all night and that you're fired. Oh, and also the Mimic was behind you the whole time. So what does this ending mean? And what even happened? First off, we got tricked. The Fiona computer, otherwise known as Mexus from Ruin, was mimicking the dispatch hand unit character since we entered the building. In the parachute.exe ending, which we will get there soon, after we go further down into the factory, the dispatch says you will trap us both down here, letting us know that the dispatch that was talking to us the entire game was actually down below.
Without power, you will trap us both down here in the dark.
The second ending, which I believe to be the true ending of the game, is where you don't listen to Fiona. This time you go into the helper monitor, run parachute.exe, and as soon as we click this, a hatch opens for us to go deeper into the factory. Also, the voice on the dispatch radio switches, from an obvious light sarcastic tone to a more evil and sadistic one. As you go further down, you finally reach a stopping point at a room called Research and Development. In the room, we found a big Freddy head, which looks to be in construction. Now, this can be an explanation as to the big Freddy head we find in Security Breach, but that's too much speculation for this video. Maybe in another one further down the line, but all that aside, what you also find is a whole ass fucking Freddy pizzeria prototype. Like, this is insane. In this part of the gameplay, you put on different spring lock suits to progress throughout the pizzeria as the Mimic stalks us. Two of the spring lock suits were Fredbear and Spring Body, prototypes made by Edwin and designed by Fiona. Once we drain all the power down below, Fiona has no other choice but to have us help her. She lost all communication with Edwin and is under the belief that he is hiding away in his home. We head to the main house and collect these tapes that relate to the door code we need to get into Edwin's office. These tapes show a timeline of events of the Murray family throughout David's birthdays. Some when Fiona was alive, some when she wasn't, some when she was the Mimic. After we get the code, we go upstairs and find an audio recording. In this recording, we hear M2 mimic Edwin after his office had exploded. We're not really sure why his office explodes or what caused it, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. In the audio tape, we also hear Edwin begging for M2 to get help because he cannot move or feel his legs. M2 begins to mimic how Edwin would treat David, you know, being very neglectful and not showing much attention to him.
I'm sorry, M2. I lost my temper. I was always gonna fix you. Please, call for help. M2, respond. Oh, can't right now, buddy. We can do something fun tomorrow. I promise. Ask your mom if she's not busy. M2, help.
After we collect the Cradle.exe, or Mixus, we get chased by the Mimic. The building begins to burn and collapse as we see all the failed M2 prototypes. Shows us how many times Edwin tried to rebuild his family. We get in our van, but the failed Mimic prototypes follow Arnold on top of his van, and we get stopped by the Mimic. But once he has the chance, he doesn't kill us. He grabs our data diver. Now I know, it's probably a lot to digest. I'm still trying to figure out what the motive the Mimic would have to want that data diver. Maybe a later theory down the line, but I still got one more ending to get to. So if you get all 25 collectibles and complete Moon.exe, Fiona gives you the glitch permissions. And with this, you can open various locked doors in Edwin's home. In these rooms are tapes that you have to find. Once you collected all of them, a vent is open. Once you go through that vent, you see a Fnaf 4 style bedroom. But not just any bedroom, this is David's bedroom. After you put the White Tiger plush that you can only find in New Game Plus on top of the bedtime storyteller, we hear Edwin and Fiona calling out for David to come for a bedtime story. As this happens, we see the Mimic come out of the closet. Happy Pride. It seems he transformed into his interpretation of David. His eyes are blue and he's much smaller. We tell him the correct bedtime story in order to glitch him enough so that we can put our data diver inside of his chest and fix him like Fiona wanted. Looks like a happy ending! Well, sadly it's not canon. So what does this mean? Well, for starters, this can explain the dynamic between Mixus and the Mimic in Ruin. In Ruin, Mixus is actively trying to stop Cassie from freeing the Mimic. If it's Fiona, she would know how dangerous it is, and she would also know that that's her son, in a way. In a weird way. But that's pretty much the entire game in one video. Now, I didn't go over everything. This video would have been a whole podcast. I will be making dedicated videos on certain sections of the game though. That's another thing I love about Secret of the Mimic is how much there is to talk about coming out of the game. I still have so many questions and I've played this game about 4 times already. There's just so many theories and interpretations that can come from this one game. Anyways, if you guys enjoy this type of content on my channel and would like to see some other theory videos, please leave a like and let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching and stay safe.